that happens. So we're just going to check and make sure that people can see us. If you can see us, please do comment in the chat. If you cannot see us, then nobody will be able to comment. All right. So I actually do see us on Facebook. So
perfect.
Hopefully I'm not the only one.
I got a notification that we were live. So
look at that. That's fancy. Awesome. So hey everyone, welcome to After Shoot today. Oh, look, are you watching? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
That's me. Nice and live. Oh, and we have 6 people on board as well. So fantastic, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are having a really cool live today. I think this is going to be super exciting. We're going to learn some really great things with 2 amazing people. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Casey and Mandy. If you guys want to give a little spiel about yourselves here.
Yeah. Hi. Spiel. I'm always bad at the spiel.
Well, I'm Mandy.
I'm Casey.
Yeah. And
We're
Mandy.
pretty cool. I don't know.
Wild Heart Workshops.
Yeah. So we did last year. About this time last year, actually.
We're like a year old.
We were like a year old.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's really awesome.
It was quite literally this time last year, like right before WPPI. Last year, we started this little kind of workshop baby called Wild Heart Workshops, where we, talk a lot about second shooters and portfolio building. And really, it's like the place where we're from to come to build portfolio and kind of learn to become a wedding photographer and kind of dive into the industry. So I think between the 2 of us, we've shot about 300 weddings, and we've been doing it for 15-ish years.
Yeah. So wow. We just had this little idea, and
it's now turned into this big idea.
Yeah. So, and we're just really excited about like education and giving people a little bit of help, just the push they need to get into the wedding industry. So
Oh, hi, Dad.
That's fantastic. What great news. So we definitely have some cool people watching as well. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. So again, it's Wild Heart Workshops. Which is, we have some big stuff coming up. I'll drop a link in the chat here so everyone can actually see and sign up. It's a webinar, am I correct?
Yeah. I think probably like our 6th or 7th webinar already. So just like a second shooter boot camp that we're doing on Saturday.
So about 3 hours long and packed full of information. We talk a lot.
We talk for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
So we apologize.
But we learn a lot of good information.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And now, who would you say would best attend this? Is it someone trying to be a second shooter? Would I get any benefit from it as a wedding photographer, or even just like to teach my second shooters some stuff? Who should be watching?
Yeah, so definitely someone with the photography skills already in place who just wants to launch into weddings. So we're not teaching anything to do with the technical aspects.
No.
So definitely someone who's already got the skills and who wants to be a second shooter or wants to be a primary shooter, and this is the first step to get there.
Yeah.
You probably have no real benefit to taking it since you're already in the game.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to take it to maybe better educate your second shooters, that would work.
Yeah.
But
I definitely someone that's looking to kind of enter into the wedding game doesn't really know where to start. So we kind of give you the tools on how to learn how to enter into the industry, how to meet those main photographers, how to get those gigs, and kind of book those jobs.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Very cool. So I think we have what we're calling our top 10, right? Some of the best things to kind of learn. So we're going to give everyone a sneak peek of what you can do on Saturday. I did post down in the comments the link, so please do sign up for that. But without further ado, let's dive into this presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys start here.
Yeah, so I mean, our boot camp kind of goes through a typical day in the life. We talk about, how to approach a main, what to pack, what to wear. But these are kind of just our top 10 tips on how to rock your second shooter game.
Yeah, this is a very, very small snippet of the
small
course.
Snippet of what you're going to get in the course. But I also think still
super valuable information.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. So first thing we need to do is learn a little bit about you guys. And I'm cheating. I actually have a slide in front of me that's showing me more about you guys, but I would like to know more about the actual Casey and the actual Mandy and not Wild Heart. So you guys can give me a quick 30-second synopsis or life story, that would be awesome.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm Casey. You saw my son walking around. He's 6. My dog is in here too. It's been a wild ride so far. I'm a Winnipeg wedding photographer, predominantly based in Winnipeg. I also shoot quite a bit in Toronto, which is quite nice. But yeah, just good old Canadian prairie girl. That's about it. Yeah. Full-time wedding photographer. I also teach photography 2 days a week at the local college in town. And that's about it.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm Mandy, also from Winnipeg here. Been shooting about the same amount of length of time as Casey, I think. Fun fact, we also met at a conference. Well, we met here, but we went to a conference together. And
we didn't even know each other.
We didn't know each other. We were like, let's share a room and go to WPPI.
So we did.
And then we became best friends.
Now we're in love.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it all started. So about 7 or 8 years for me as a wedding photographer. I went to university before that in design school, wanting to be an architect. Decided that was not for me and jumped into this. And now I'm trying to shoot as many places as I can. I will be in India next week for a wedding. So I'm super excited about that. I was going to maybe message you about some tips and tricks about going to India.
Yes. Yeah. I can guide you on some tips and tricks for that too.
So that's that.
Cool. So let's dive in. Show me your first slide here.
How do we do that?
We can actually already see it. You just have to go to the next.
Sorry. Trying. Okay, here we go. All right. So again, I'm Casey. This is Mandy. Photography brought us together, but our shared love of art and travel and wine and margaritas has kept us close. So here we are.
Yeah. So we'll get started on the first tip here.
All right.
Sorry, we're still just getting our screens arranged here so that we can watch and control at the same time.
There we go. Got it. Okay. So number 1 is be prepared. So as a second shooter, make sure that you fully read over the timeline and make notes of the day and make sure that you know when all those key moments are. You never want to walk in blind. You got to know what you're doing. Make sure you have the correct address. Google map it on your way there so you're not late.
Or the day before, so you know where it is.
So
I've had that does not work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So make sure that you know where you're going. Familiarize yourself with the venue. Again, make sure that you've packed enough memory cards. Are your batteries charged? Did you pack a variety of vocal lengths? Like, where are all the snacks? Where are all the Red Bulls? Make sure you got those packed too. I will never say no to a second shooter that brings me a Red Bull. It's
or
like
Gatorade.
Immediate love. Or Gatorade. That's also a good bonus.
Yeah.
And then confirm you know what your main expectations are. So everything that you need to do to be prepared for the wedding day as a second shooter, like that's our number 1 top tip is be prepared.
Yeah, make sure your gear's all set up and you understand how to use it. For sure, we cannot stress that enough. If you're shooting on your own memory cards, you want them all formatted before you get there. Don't be deleting images off the cards.
Yeah. Now, do you normally, and I may be jumping ahead here, but how does that normally work? Should someone expect a second shooter to provide their own cards, or should you be expecting your lead photographer to give you cards?
So again, it really all depends on the main shooter and everybody works differently. I expect all of my second shooters to bring their own memory cards. I borrow them and then return them when I'm done.
But not everyone
works that way. You got to ask all of the questions because again, everybody is different.
That's true. Yeah. And then what happens? What happens if I'm going to ask you all the questions you don't want to hear. What happens if you're having a difficult time kind of getting a hold of your lead to figure out where you're supposed to go? So this has happened to me personally where I was second shooting and I was like, where am I supposed to go? What time? Like, at what point do you have to like get mean with your lead?
So I feel like this stuff should all be figured out like 48 hours at least
a week before the wedding. So
you're not stressing out on the day of or the night before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good at sending timelines out as soon as I get them. So my second photographers have them. But yeah, I would go like week before, 48 hours before, I would hound them. I would text their mom. If I couldn't find them, I would text their mom. Like, that's where I'm at right now. Do not disappear on me. I
also feel as a second shooter, like you also need your own boundaries and your own, like stand your own ground here. Like if that if I was stressed out the morning of because I didn't have the locations and itinerary, that might be the last time I work for that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great advice. Honestly, it's probably more of a question for the lead photographer at this point. So if you're a lead photographer out there watching, just know if you're not giving timelines and directions and all of the things that people need to know, like 48 hours in advance, there's going to be some questions. Casey's going to call
you're leaving room for mistakes and confusion and for a lot of stress on the wedding day that's not necessary. So I feel like as a main, that's super unprofessional. But
you're not setting anybody up for success at that point. And how can you expect to run a successful wedding day with so much going on if the one person that you need to be supporting you doesn't know how? So that's
true. And I'm going to tell you a little story. This is embarrassing on my end, but it happened. So I am the type of person who sends out a questionnaire to my clients. I get it back. I detail everything and I drop it into my second shooter's email a couple days before. So I arrive at the church and my second shooter calls me and he goes, I was pulling into the church parking lot. Second shooter calls me and he says, I'm here at the church and nobody's here and the doors are locked and I don't know what to do. So we soon figured out he went to the Wright name church like 3 towns over. And he made it in time for the ceremony. Everything was fine, but 100%, like, especially if you're doing like Catholic churches, there's always like a St. Mary's in every town or every major city. So add the zip code just to verify that. Cause I did not, I said St. Mary's and then the address, and he just typed in St. Mary's and went to the St. Mary's that was actually closest to the reception. So it actually made more sense than the St. Mary's we were at, but it worked out. It was fine. But ever since then, I'm like, zip code. I need a zip code.
Yep.
Town, everything listed in there.
So stressful. Whew.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few stories of things like that. Like even similar name. There's a similar named like golf course and wedding venue here, and I've heard a couple horror stories about people going to the wrong one. Just because it's the same name, it's just, is it the golf club or is it the wedding venue?
Yeah. Both host
and both have weddings, so it could be either one.
That's even more.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, definitely look up those addresses in advance.
Yeah, please. So I saw you guys, or you had just mentioned knowing your gear is important. Tell me more about this.
Well, I mean, I feel like a vast majority of us, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 99% of us will wonderfully shoot our manual. So you can't be messing around with playing, nailing your exposure, missing your exposure, shooting
auto mode or
aperture priority, trying to and switching kind of because you don't really know what you're doing. So know your gear, learn how to shoot in manual. Make sure that you are confident shooting in manual. That way, when it comes time to editing and sorting and doing all those fun things, your files just filter in quite nicely. So again, also when it comes to gear, knowing both of your bodies, ensure that both of your bodies have different file names.
So important.
Like super important. Yeah.
Because
I've copied.
This is actually one that I see often and it kind of kills me, right? It's exactly that. You can't put the files in the same folder. So second shooters, I think just in general, all photographers, one of the really cool things, you can actually change the file name on any camera. So I actually found it's extremely beneficial to do this simply so you can differentiate your cameras too, without having to go through serial numbers and everything. So I have like one camera that's named JB1 and one that's named JB2. And what happened was JB2 started to have an issue where the mirror got loose, I think, and the focus was off. So it just kept misfocusing. And at first I was like, I can't figure out how to tell them apart. But then I was like, duh, JB1, JB2.
Yeah. So smart.
Yeah. So many reasons to make sure that you have this stuff set up.
Totally. I mean, even when it comes down to making sure that you have the right date and time set in your camera and making sure that the right date and time it matches with that of your lead. 5 minutes can make the world of a difference.
When my camera's there to sync, I'm like, Mandy, what are you doing?
I know.
I'm correcting it right now. Yeah. It sucks trying to figure that out. And then when you have like 4 cameras or more involved,
that's just a whole disaster. So make sure that it's all set perfect at the beginning of the day, or you got to text your maid, or you also get a photo at the same time so you can calibrate them and sync them later. It's just something that's really important, and it really affects the amount of posts and how that workflow after the wedding kind of comes together.
You said the raw thing.
You said the raw thing already. What else?
Utilizing both card slots.
Appropriately.
Yeah, appropriately. Like not as like shoot on one card, record on the next card. Like you want a copy of RAWs on each.
Not RAW on one card and JPEG on the other. Like double RAW.
Yeah.
The exact same thing. So we don't lose files. That's the worst thing we could possibly do is lose files. So that backup card is there for a reason. And make sure that your camera is set up so that it works that way.
Cool. And I see at the bottom, don't forget a flash just in case. Now, again, I'm going to jump ahead, most likely. What do you guys recommend when it comes to, because this is something that I actually felt like I was never really certain on whenever I would second shoot, was do I try and mirror what the lead photographer is doing? So if they're going off camera flash, should I be trying to do off camera flash, or should I be trying to do something different with flash? Should I bounce when they're off camera, or should I just be doing what I know best and I'm most comfortable with?
So I think it's a combination of doing what you know best and asking what's expected of you, preferably before the wedding day. So you don't want to be shooting with someone who's expecting you to know off camera flash.
And you don't know how.
When you don't know how, and you don't have a trigger. And So I think making sure you know the expectations before getting the job, and then being really clear on your skill level, what you're capable of.
Yeah. I mean, again, all of us have very different expectations. For my second shooters, all I expect is that they know how to use on-camera flash. Period. The end. I do not expect them to bring light stands. I don't expect them to bring triggers. I will take care of all those things, especially during a reception. I want them doing candids of guests and working their room and wandering around and capturing all those really awesome candids of the far back corners of the friends drinking, which is better suited for a well-versed on-camera flash user.
Yeah.
I will set up my light stands and, do the head table and the speaker and take care of all of those things in that way. But I like when they know how to use on-camera flash. Again, when it comes to dance floor or anything like that, like, I don't want to be photoshopping 7 light stands out of anything. Like 2 or 3 is plenty, but I'm good with on camera. But again, everyone's different.
Yeah. We're pretty much the same on that point.
Yeah.
But I know other people definitely do not work the same way. So just so important to ask all these questions beforehand.
Cool. That's great. Great advice. Okay. Can I wear this to a wedding?
I mean, you could.
Yeah, you could.
Yes.
But you would never get hired again. And we would take your picture and post it online.
It's true. So professionalism is key. We want to make sure that we're dressing like we're guests. You want to blend in, and you don't want to stand out like a sore thumb. A lot of photographers prefer if you wear all black, and that's a personal preference. I'm a business casual, comfy shoes kind of person. So that is what I expect of my second photographers or my second shooters. But yeah, just, dress modestly, avoid bright colors. Color cast is real. Don't wear the bright orange shirt or dress and a pair of jeans. Like, that does not work for me. Just think smart. And if you're going to this wedding at a guest, take the venue into consideration. What could you wear as a guest to this venue? That's what you should be wearing as a photographer.
Yeah. Besides just looking professional and like you belong there, but you're also a possibility of being in the background of the main shooter's shots. You don't want to stand out like crazy. No. So much better to look like you belong there and blend in.
Yeah.
And on that note, also acting professionally.
Also very important.
Yeah, I think that's a big one too. Like, we're all on our cell phones during the day. That's how we communicate with each other, but unnecessary cell phone use doesn't come off well, especially when there's a lot of action going around. So I think keeping cell phone use to a minimum is super important. Being respectful, like watching your language, just conducting yourself overall well, especially around like maybe the grandparents at the wedding and stuff. You don't want to come off like,
I got a potty mouth, so I still swear. But I try to reel it in when grandma and grandpa are around. But I do my best.
Yes. And don't market your personal business when you're there representing another company. I think that's a big one, especially because someone could come up to you and love you and what you're doing. And it could be really tempting to be like, okay, like
here's my business
I'm Mandy Wright Photography, but you're there actually representing someone else. So I think it's super important to not be sleazy.
Please don't ever do that. But what would you do in that situation? you know, like let's say I am second shooting and somebody approaches me and they're like, who are you? I want to get in touch with you. What do you do?
That's a good question. I think you would just give them the company name that you're working for.
Yeah, and be like, you
can contact them or through them.
I'm working with Mandy. You can contact her and she can send you all my contact info.
Because in maybe some situations, maybe the main would be like, oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, like I don't do family shoots. You can let them know your business information, but if you're not clear on that, then definitely just like refer back to the company and let them handle it.
And I feel like as a main photographer, I mean, maybe it's just me, but if one of my clients would be like, hey, like I really like to connect. Yes, absolutely. Here you go. I will share that. I want you to be successful and I want you to do really well. I'm not going to gatekeep like my clients are not my clients until the end of time and forever. Like that's ridiculous. So I feel like as long as you're working with a great solid main who is there to support you and you're, learning from each other, then
if they're cherry picking, they're like, this person, I really like them and I got along with them. That's different than being like,
great, here you go.
What's your business name? And then you shouting out your own name instead of the company you're there with, and a little bit different. I know I used to work we both actually worked for someone who had some business cards. Like she would give me business cards at the beginning of the day. Be like, oh, if anyone asks, you can give them one of these. I know she had some of them even made with like our names on them because we worked with her often enough So, I mean, that worked out well. So we had something to just hand over.
That's very cool. Actually, that's a great idea. Kind of just a business card and not necessarily a Mandy business card. It's just, this is the company and you can reach out to us and, and then like you said, I'm the same way. I would steer them towards whoever I need to be. But yeah, that used to happen to me a lot. And it was like, I was put in that position where I'd be like, yeah, I know I'm really funny, but I'm not the guy. You got to go talk to that guy. Right? And it was like, so,
and that's like, I mean, I feel like we all have like, I mean, in our area, all of us are pretty tight knit, and that's how you burn bridges. And if you want to be a second shooter, you want to be a main, you want to be a wedding photographer, like you gotta put in the work and don't be sleazy.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know when I'm taking really awesome getting ready photos and they see them, they're all like, yeah, I want, or like I do like a cool off-camera flash something, and they're like, oh, I love this picture, and then they're like, I want you. Groomsmen will be like, I want you to shoot my wedding. And I'm like, gotta talk to that guy first.
And that can happen when you're a really good second shooter, right? Like you can come off really well and people might want to hire you. So
but at the end of the day, that's your goal as a second shooter, is to be so good that you become the main shooter. Like that's the whole point.
Right.
So that's awesome.
And that's actually one of the things that, like, for me personally, when that would happen, that was when I would say, hey, go talk to so-and-so. This is their, their wedding or whatever it may be. And then it ended up it would come back tenfold, right? They'd be 9 times out of 10, the second or the lead wasn't available and I was. So then it was just like, okay, great. That's the guy we wanted anyways. So it worked out fine.
Yeah. Perfect.
But if you're working with a good main, that's what happens, right? Like
exactly. If you're a lead photographer, if you're working with somebody that, that you get along with, that you gel with well, it does help even just marketing your own business without having to market your own business, right? They're the ones who are going to say, actually, that really good second shooter that you loved, he's available. You can have him.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. All right. So I feel like number 4 on our list is master those getting ready shots.
Because this is the time of the day when you are running solo and it's the first part of the day. So typically you're stepping in like completely blind, probably haven't met anyone from the wedding yet. And you're totally alone and you're not really second shooting at this point. You're actually more of the lead. So it's super important that you master these shots. I think more than other parts of the day, really. Like,
I think this is, especially for us, this is the most important part of the day for me with them. So confidence is key. You arrive first thing in the morning and you're solo. Like, you have to be confident. You have to take charge. You have to do what needs to get done. And you got to put the people in the light and take the picture. You can't just let people, sit in the basement under the big gross spotlights. You need to, you
really need to evaluate the situation you're in and take charge. I mean, we're not saying like influence the situation a whole bunch, but like when you see things that you can improve or that need to be done, you can't just stand back. Like I don't want a bunch of images of the backs of guys getting ready because you didn't want to tell them to like face you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that happens a lot, especially with the groomsmen. They'll like huddle in a corner, dark corner, get ready. And you have to like literally be like, these are the
light. Come over here.
Let's
to the window.
just do the same thing. Just face my direction so I can get some shots of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times you got to really speak up to get the things you need. So going in with confidence and taking charge is super important.
Yeah. Also really understanding those rules of composition. Again, I feel like the minute you're stressed or rushed or worried, like that's the first thing that goes out of your head. You're just like, stop, must have this, must have that. And you're so worried, but that those rules of composition just kind of gently float away. So you're not kind of giving your main really anything great to work with, a good shot or anything that doesn't need to be corrupt 17 times. So just make sure that you're, really focusing on composition and taking a breath and evaluating that situation and working slowly so you can nail them all.
That's great. And then, so actually to add to that, one of the things that I love to do personally is I will send my questionnaire that I send to them beforehand. And I actually have a little note, a little spot where the couples can leave notes. So like you said, you're flying solo, you're going by yourself. The last thing you want to do is walk into the room and say, where's your mom? Only to find out that mom had passed. Right. So I think it's that awareness of what's happening and what's going on when you walk into the room. Also, it goes a long way. They'll remember that in a bad way. If you say, hey, where's your mom? They'll remember you as the horrible second shooter. You'll never, live that back the rest of the day. But going in, knowing those things. And if you don't have those answers, again, ask the lead. They should be able to tell you, hey, these are the family dynamics or things that you need to understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of this stuff that really like goes on shooting with a good main, like that's their responsibility. But for sure, if you don't want to be the person in that situation, you have to ask the questions in advance, like, because not every second or every main shooter is going to be on the ball, or like you said, like you might be fighting them for the information for the wedding. So I just feel like as a second shooter, if you're really trying to make it and you really want to put your best foot forward, like you have to take responsibility to ask these questions if they're not handing out the information to you.
Yeah,
definitely. Ask them questions.
Also a good time. Yeah, to be like super creative. There's a lot of different things you can play with, you can bring with you. You can use stuff in your environment to get creative with shots. But again, because you're solo and you're kind of running the show here, it's a good opportunity to use like reflections, like in mirrors or windows or glass in the getting ready space. Practice with framing things. If you have like prisms or something you like to play with, getting silhouettes in the windows. Like there's a lot of good opportunity to get creative and really shine. Because you are in full control during this time of the day. Yeah,
I think getting ready can make or break a second shooter for me.
For sure, yeah, because that's the one point of the day where I'm not there to get images that look like my work. So I need someone who can,
give me a solid gallery to work with.
Definitely. That getting ready is the only time you can't recover from. That's the only time.
That's right.
If they didn't work, nothing you can do.
That is it. Yeah. Shout out to her. Yeah.
Yes. We would like to thank Gikoto for lighting us today.
Oh, are you guys lit by Gikoto too?
No. No. We are lit by my $12 Amazon ring light.
Yes, Gikoto generously supplied us with some beautiful lights to get these tutorial videos and things lit up. So we're currently using sorry to plug it, but I love this thing. This is their light bar, and you can actually control it with an iPhone app. So you can change temperature and everything, which is super awesome.
I just saw that last week. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So sorry, continue.
Well, I can warm up or cool down my ring light, okay?
Yeah, manually with our finger.
Manually with my finger on a button that kind of works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
So number 5, ask all of the questions. Like you could never be too annoying with too many questions, I feel. Having good communication with your main is so important.
I don't want my second shooters going off and just like doing whatever they feel like.
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, like once we've built a relationship, that's different. But starting off, like I want confidence in them, and I'd like them to ask me questions or to tell me what they're using, so that we're on the same page and we're getting different shots and variety.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely like confirming at all points of the day, like if they're using the right lenses and what settings to use them at.
Yeah. I mean, every photographer is different. I like shooting wide open. Maybe you like shooting comfortably at 5.6. I don't know, but each image will look incredibly different from the other. So make sure that you know what you need to shoot and how you need to shoot it in order for your images to blend in seamlessly with that mains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting clear use on images. I think we might have, did we touch on this?
No, we haven't.
Okay. So yeah, definitely asking in advance if you have rights to post or edit or use any of the images you've captured that day. So every main works differently. We work way differently. So just getting a clear understanding, because if you're in this to build a portfolio, you're going to want to work with a main shooter who is okay with you editing and posting the images. And
a lot of photographers aren't.
And a lot of them are like, no, you're handing them over.
They're mine, the end.
So it's just good to know who you're working with and what the rules are around that, so that you're not, again, burning any bridges and you're getting what you want. Yeah, or breaching contract. And you're just getting what you want out of the experience.
Now, I don't know if you were going to cover it, but is this something that, like, let's say I wanted to get into second shooting? Or sorry, get into being a lead photographer through second shooting. Is that something that I can negotiate with my lead photographers? Can I say, hey, I really want to be able to, use these images, or can I just say that I had the experience of shooting these weddings, or what do I do?
So I think this is where the use of images works. Mandy and I work differently. So I allow my second shooters to post all their photos on Instagram. They're allowed to use them in their portfolio. My only request is that if the photo that they took at my wedding, it has to be tagged, second shot with Casey Nolin photography, and nobody else in the photo is tagged. So the couple doesn't get a tag, the vendors don't get a tag, the venue doesn't get a tag. So that it's very clear, like, I shot this wedding as a second shooter for this person. So it's a little bit clear. But I do let my second shooters use their images. Whereas, some people are like a hard no.
Yeah. So generally I'm a no, but like the right second shooter, if they were to press me on it, I would probably, like, if they want to build a portfolio, I'd probably be okay with it. But I haven't had that come up. I generally tell them that they don't have any rights to use the images. So I kind of just stay that way. And I feel like, definitely, like even this last year, there's some people who took our courses who definitely are in the building portfolio stages. And if they were to actually press me for some images, then I would probably be okay with it. But I feel like they're probably in it for the experience because they haven't really asked about it.
Yeah. And I mean, there is a line as well. I have in the past had a second shooter that blogged my entire wedding before I had even delivered it to the client. It was all over the internet. Everybody was tagged. And I was mortified and I was so upset, and I never used that second shooter ever again. So there are boundaries and there are lines, and you are still learning, and you're hired as a second, and it's not your job and it's not your gig. So just make sure that you're super clear as what you can or cannot do. Also, the photography world in Winnipeg is really small. And I never hired that second shooter again. And I don't think any of my friends did either. Don't burn bridges.
Yeah. No, that definitely sounds like a burning bridge.
To the clients, too. They don't want their wedding images online before they've even seen them.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So with that, I'm building a portfolio, right? I'm an up and coming photographer. I want to build the portfolio, and you give me permission to use images. Does that mean I can just hover over your shoulder taking the same photos, or what does that mean?
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so no, you do not want to shoot over your main shoulder at any point, unless they tell you to. Otherwise, do not do it. You should always be shooting opposite your main, opposite location, opposite lens, opposite orientation. In our opinions, you are there
to support them.
You're not as a backup. We have dual card slots. We shoot dual cameras most of the time. We have backup. We are covering our asses. You are there to offer something different. You're there as an addition.
Like, know your role.
Yeah. So definitely like you should be focusing on getting an awesome shot that is different from the main photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, essentially every time that they move, you should be moving too. Think about working in circles. If they're in the aisle, you're, hovering in the back. If they're photographing the bride, you're photographing the groom. Just really paying attention to what they're doing and shooting opposite. You are not there to build your portfolio. You are there to support and document somebody else's wedding for somebody else. So yeah, just know your role.
Like family portraits, for example, we talk about while the main is doing all the main photos, you could be pulling people off to the side and getting smaller group photos, like of the sibling and their families, or the parents together, the grandparents, any wedding party member couples. Like there's a lot of work that you can do right next to the main that is different from what they are shooting. And then for instances like this, where like the wedding party's doing something, or there's a larger group, like you can be using a tighter focal length. You can be getting it on details. You can be getting them holding hands. Getting just a slightly different angle. It's just all about thinking outside the box and getting creative.
Yeah. Very cool. So now let's say I'm shooting the opposite of my second shooter and I have a really good photo. It's shooting along the lead photographer. Let's say I have a really great photo. Should I stop them in their tracks and make them come to me and take my picture? Should I take initiative like that, or should I take initiative other ways?
So you mean if you're seeing something that would be good for the couple, like calling them over? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Like calling them over or changing their focus?
Calling them over. I want them to come take
I would not call them over.
I think it's so, again, I think in general, no.
That's what I know.
I would say I second shot.
These are my toes. Don't step on them.
I've second shot with a couple of people who come to mind who liked when I took the lead in directing. So like they would even step back at times and be like, "Oh, can you just take over?" Like,
yeah.
I'm like, the directing was more of a strong suit for me than them. I assume that would be why. So they would just let me take. But like that's a specific situation. In general, like you don't want to be taking control unless the main hands it over to you.
Yeah, I'm too bossy.
No one would try and take it from you.
I will put them in their place so fast. No, I mean, but there is a different way to approach it. Like you can just be like, I found this really great spot. Walk up, be like, hey, I found this really awesome spot. We should totally go there next. There's a different way of approaching the situation so that everyone gets kind of the best case scenario. And I mean, everyone gets the benefit of the doubt, but I mean, I would never, I would call, or I'd be like, can you look at me for 1 second? So I would be okay with like a changing of focus. If, the couple was looking at me for a quick second, the second had a great shot and they're like, hey, can you just look over your shoulder back at me? Absolutely. You get in there and you get that shot if that's what you think. But if you're going to actually physically move locations and change a spot, no, that's a no for me, Doug.
Yeah. I had a second shooter this year. The first time that I worked with her, I had really taken initiative, and she was like, oh, hey, Mandy, I see like this pathway right here looks really nice with the light. Like I immediately was obsessed with her, and I was like, yes, this is what I want. Like,
thank you.
I love that you walked over here and looked at this and saw something great. I mean, she didn't take the couple away from me and like bring them over. She came to me and was like, do you want to check this out? And I immediately was like, yes, bring the couple over there. Go get your shot. Like, that looks amazing. And I let her take them.
But she took some initiative.
Yes, but she came to me and she didn't go to the couple and drag them away.
Yeah.
She came to me to be like, if I was into it. And I'm like, yes, for sure. Take the couple. That looks beautiful. And I love those shots from that scene that she found.
100%. So number 7 is taking initiative. So that is, really important, especially when it comes to, getting all those extra kind of fringe photos, like while you are photographing the couple, what is the bridal party doing? I don't have eyes in the back of my head. I don't have 2 cameras. So take initiative, go and photograph the bridesmaids and go, and photograph the groomsmen drinking in the golf cart, do all those extra things that I can't do. So take initiative. Don't just stand there and watch what I'm doing. Try and find other things that you could be doing at that time.
Mm-hmm. Taking behind the scenes shots of the main photographer at work, always a really nice surprise.
Love those.
Whether it's like on the camera, so when you're like culling through them later, like you find them, or whether they're just taking something quick on their phone. But I feel like it's really nice added social media for the main. So I have never heard anyone complain that
There was too many photos of me.
Yeah, nice perk to have a second shooter with some behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, you're not focusing on that, but if you see an opportunity, I love when I find something in the gallery after, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. That would be I could use that for a post or whatever.
Everyone likes a little BTS content.
So if you're standing in the back and you see an opportunity, it's really nice to add that in, and
throw it in there. And then again, just lastly, ceremony reception details. If you arrive there first, the second shooter, nothing beats that kind of blank slate of a ceremony space without purses and coats and stuff hanging over chairs. So, get there. If you get there first, drop your bags, take that photo immediately before people start piling in. So I'm always really appreciative if I walk into a venue or a ceremony, a little bit later than my second, and they've already done all of those things for me, so I don't have to stress out about it. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in a moment like that, and don't be standing around waiting for direction. If you see something that can be shot or something that should be done, just do it. I mean, like we said, ask the questions, but if they're not there yet and you see something ready to go, shoot it.
Cool. And so with that, you got some detail-y things we should be looking for too, as a second shooter.
Yeah. So, be proactive, get in there, fluff the dress, check the bridal party's pockets. You are that second set of eyes. So be there to catch all those little details that might be missing. I mean, there are so many things going on that if you have the ability to slow down and be like, okay, no sunglasses, great. Bulging pockets, great. All the flowers are in a row. Just be that second set of eyes. So be proactive when it comes to those types of things.
Yeah, those are little things that when you're directing a group of 12 people or something, the main photographer might overlook when they're worrying about everything else. But if you're there just assisting at that moment, just be that second set and scan everything. And I mean, I love it. I mean, I don't want my second shooter to be annoying and be constantly fixated and fixing something.
Yeah.
But if there's something obvious, one guy has sunglasses on his head.
Yeah.
I want those off.
If I didn't notice.
And if I didn't, because I will be swearing at my computer later when I see something like that, especially because I know I've already told them 15 times to put the sunglasses away.
Moderation, I think, is the right. I've had second shooters who are totally hands off, and I'm like, I kind of wish you would maybe
get in there a little bit
more. A little something. But then I've also had second shooters where I was like, oh God, please just get out of here.
Back off.
Not every
I think cocktail hours going on.
Yeah, his thumb's bent. That's okay. As long as it's out of his pocket, I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter if it's bent or straight or just So it's definitely
there's a happy balance somewhere in there where you're not annoying and you're not obsessing.
You're helpful,
but you're just offering a little bit of help.
Yeah, you're helpful.
Yeah, I mean that happens too, and you just want them out of your hair, and you're like. I think that's when I grab the bouquet and I'm like, can you go photograph the bouquet somewhere?
Yeah.
Take
this
and go.
My battery's dying. Can you grab me another one?
Yeah.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So you do all this hard work. What's next?
So not forgetting about the paperwork.
The paperwork.
So, I mean, ideally you had your contract in place and everything in before. But in that contract, you will have what rate you will be paid and when you will be paid. So just keeping that stuff in mind and making sure you're on top of it. At what point are you supposed to be sending the invoice? Typically, within 24 hours, you should be. A very detailed invoice we sent to us. And all this stuff should be discussed in advance, but then you have to follow through with it at the end of the job.
Make sure it's done, And just make sure you have a contract. Really, just protect your shit. Everyone needs to look after themselves at the end of the day, and a contract is in place just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. You all understand rules, expectations, all that kind of stuff. So you're not second guessing or questioning day of. It's all written out. It's all laid out. You signed off. They've signed off. Everyone's in agreement. Period. The end. Just protect yourself, especially as a second shooter too.
Cool. Yeah. And when should I be getting paid?
So that is totally a discussion between you and the main. But let's hope it's within a week to a month. If it's any longer than that, maybe you should find a new main.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm forgetful, honestly.
I am forgetful.
I thought you were more on the ball.
No, the minute I get my invoice, I pay my second shooter immediately, because if I don't, I'll forget. So I am really fast with paying. But if I get an invoice at an inopportune time, then I will 100% forget. So again, there's no harm in following up. I'd say, yeah, like if you haven't been paid within a week or 2 weeks, if that was the expectation set, then follow up, get paid.
Yeah, my second shooters have to remind me a lot.
Sorry, guys.
I like to sit on the invoice for about 5 to 7 days until they're like, text me and they're like,
I have rent to pay.
Yeah, you didn't pay me yet. I'm like, yeah. So no, I try and be on the ball, but
yeah. So before we get to having fun, I'm going to ask you guys a very important question. And this is, I find that everyone's divided on this one. Tips. Do you share the tips with your second shooter, or do you take it all? Or as a second shooter, do you expect your lead to split the tip, or do you, if you get tips, yay, do you split it with the lead? What do you do? How does it all work? What does tipping look like?
So this is, I guess, super personal, like you said, and I think it's splitting. And for me, it's because the people who I first started shooting with, when I was starting off as a second, I mean, I was still shooting on my own, but I was mainly working as a second for a couple of years, and the people I was working for split the tips with me. And I think I always felt like, wow, like, why would you give me half? Like, you could have kept it all. Because I was unaware that this was happening. And I feel like that stuck with me. And I'm like, yeah, like they worked here all day too.
I need more clients that tip.
Oh.
I've gotten gifts, but I'm not cracking my present in half.
I will say, I think that tips are more prominent in the US market than they are here in Canada. And that's because I think all of the US clients I've had have tipped me. In Canada, it's like hit or miss. Yeah. I'd say probably only like, I'm gonna say less than 50% of my jobs tip me in Canada.
I mean, less than 50%, I'd say.
But I split with my second shooter if I have one with me.
Yeah, like if I have ever got a cash tip day of, I've always contributed a little bit. I have also had clients hand envelopes to both me and my second shooter with each tips in it. So I feel like I've had someone give us both money more often than I've had someone just give me money. Day of.
And I just wanted to put Andrew's comment up on the screen just to bother you, Mandy. So Andrew gets paid.
Andrew, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
So I actually, I'm the same. I try and pay my seconds at the end of the night. So
wow, look at you guys go.
I have a dance party.
I gotta be better.
Yeah, I have a dance party. We hang out, we have fun, and then I'm like, all right, cool. Here's your monies. Goodbye.
Here's your monies.
Oh, are you paying cash like at the end of the event?
I'll do a check. So and this may be because of the US system, but I can 1099 them at the end of the year. So I send the 1099 to them, which is like the tax form. So all their payments are written into it. So I could pay them via check or Venmo or however I want to pay them. I just have to tell the government how much I pay.
Yeah, we don't have Venmo.
And we don't have to do any tax forms for like contracted work. So that's all different. But generally like I require my second shooters to send me an invoice before I pay them. Yeah. For my own tax records.
I need the invoice to pay my taxes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wait for the invoice. And sometimes I don't get the invoice for like 5 days. Sometimes, so like, it's not just me delaying the payment by a week. Sometimes I'm not getting the invoice for 5 days. They know they're not getting paid until I get an invoice.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. And just a quick reminder to everyone in the US that's watching, your 1099s were due 2 or 3 days ago. If you did not do them, you still can. You just have to pay an extra late fee. So yes, if you were doing a 1099, if you paid your second shooters any amount of money above $600, you need to make a 1099. It's very simple, but you're required to do it. So everyone do that.
Interesting.
Well, good tip for other people.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not all Canadian.
Nothing in our course is specific to Canadians. We don't talk about taxes. We don't talk about tips. It's strictly doing the work of the wedding, which is universal across North American weddings.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's the paperwork.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Last but not least, have fun.
And we said that so unenthusiastically.
Have fun.
You've survived all the stressful stuff. Now you get to party.
Survived all the stressful stuff. It's time to have fun. If you make it to the reception, you're great. Like, join in the party. Have a great time. You know, master your flash. Play with light. You know, direct flash is really, you know, popular now.
Shutter dragging
is really popular right now. Paint with some light. Get in there. Have fun. You know, that's
the wide angle on the dance floor. Like, don't shoot everything from the sidelines. Get like in the middle of the action and get people like interacting with you, so you can like really capture the energy.
Yeah, just get in there.
That's
enjoy your night.
The biggest advice.
Spread and enjoy your life.
Yeah, the biggest advice I can give anybody photographing a dance floor is to stick your widest lens on. So I use like the 12 to 24. Stick your widest lens on and walk into that dance floor and hold your camera next to your face. Don't hold it in front of your face, hold it next to your face. Have the autofocus on and dance with them as you're photographing. Because the minute you dance with them, a layer comes off again.
Totally.
Like, you can like watch it. Like, they're instantly, you're like one of them, and they're not like paying attention to the camera. When you're literally on the sidelines, like no energy from you, just like snapping pictures. Like, everyone has their back to you. No one cares what you're doing. In fact, usually they're avoiding you because it's awkward.
Yeah.
But 100%, if you're just like shooting from the hip, shooting from right here,
get in there.
Yeah, you get the best photos.
Cool. So let's say everyone really super duper likes you guys and wants to connect with you. How can we find Wild Heart Workshops, Casey Nolin and Mandy Wright?
Instagram.
Good old Instagram.
Website.
Yeah, so we're at Wild Heart Workshops, and our website is wildheartworkshops.com. And again, we're having a really awesome signature bootcamp live webinar on Saturday, starting at noon Central Standard Time. So it's about 3 hours, and it's a lot of fun. So you get this kind of 1 hour plus 2 more of us talking back and forth at each other. And it's really fun, actually. So you should come.
Yeah, and you can ask all the questions. It's very like, I mean, we talk so much, but there's back and forth, and you can interrupt us at any point and get clarity on things. We're open books.
We're pretty open books when it comes to absolutely everything within our businesses and our expectations. And
you'll get a quick guide after as well, so that the 3 hours of presentation you've gone through, you have like something a little more digestible to refer back to. So if you want to review that before like a big gig or something, we have a way more digestible PDF that we email you.
Yeah.
But we're super excited to host another one.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
How many do you guys host a year?
Well, this is our first year, but we've done 6.
Yeah, so last year we did 6, I think. This year we've only done 1 so far. We're going to do another one on Saturday, and then we'll probably do
one in Winnipeg.
We'll do a live one in Winnipeg in April, and then hopefully a couple more before the season gets going. Then we do take a little bit of a break for wedding season, for the busy season. I mean, up in Canada, especially in Winnipeg, our season kind of goes May, June.
You're the same where you are too, I guess.
We get like April to November.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like May.
We're still winter in November.
Yeah, we're still April.
Yeah.
April's gross.
Yeah.
So we still have a bit of winter. So we're kind of like May to October. So we kind of take those months off just to focus on our own clients and our own business. But usually kind of before and after a busy season, we will do 1 a month. Really. That's kind of how it's gone.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I dropped the link in the comments. Be sure to follow Wild Heart Workshops on the IG, as well as Casey Nolin Photography and Mandy Wright Photography. And thank you everyone for tuning in. It looks like we had a nice group of people hanging out with us. Feel free to comment where this is going to be up. So people, if you didn't get to watch it live and you want to come back in and comment, we will always kind of view it. You can always tag Mandy or Casey. They are both in our Facebook community. So if you have a specific question or want to know anything more, they are super awesome. And for everyone, where can they find you guys next? Are you met at WPPI? Are you hanging out at WPPI again?
Oh, of course we're hanging out at WPPI. We will be there with all the unicorn t-shirts on, I'm sure.
We're so excited for it. It's not that far away now.
I know. Yay.
Yes, just a short month away from WPPI. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So you'll probably see us hanging around the booth.
Yeah, we'll be there. that's where we are next.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for dropping this wealth of knowledge. That was really, really awesome for you guys to come in and to share these things. And, you know, I think even as somebody who's shot a ton of weddings, I probably learned some stuff just about things that I didn't think about. Or, you know, this is such a great presentation to be able to just tell your second shooters what you expect. Because I don't think that's something that I even do, right? I'm pretty sure Veronica's in the comments, and I'm sure she'll probably attach. when she's married to me, and when she second shoots for me, I definitely don't give her the information she needs.
Well, she probably says you can't tell me what to do, so I think that's probably more than
she's a fantastic second shooter. But I usually just throw her. I'm pretty sure I throw her into the wolves, and I'm like, why didn't you take a picture of this? So definitely, it's valuable to see, you know, a really great way to kind of communicate and talk with your second shooters and making sure that they are aware. So thank you guys again so much. And
thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.